Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of the Reformist Report for 2018. I'm reading off a script here, I've only just started, so please bear with me. Today we'll start with Kelly O'Dwyer's car crash interview on Insiders on Sunday. O'Dwyer has been the Minister for Revenue and Financial Services since 2016 and was interviewed by veteran journalist Barry Cassidy on whether the government was wrong to stall the Banking Royal Commission. So let's have a look at that clip right now.
An opportunity to talk about that shortly. But first of all, were you wrong to delay the calling of a Royal Commission for as long as you did?
Well, Barry, I think the record speaks for itself. We have taken action. We established the Royal Commission, Barry. Now, we didn't do this as a political stunt.
But you took so long to set it up. Were you wrong? Were you wrong to do that?
Well, Barry, I'm happy to answer your question, but you've got to give me a chance. We did it soberly. We did it carefully. We wanted to take action straight away to address those issues that we knew about. We reflected on whether, in fact, it was the right thing to do to establish it, and we decided it was. We've done it, we've established it, not only with very broad terms of reference, rather than the narrow focus that some might have actually had instead, but we've also put in place a very good Royal Commissioner who I think is demonstrating what a fantastic job that he is doing, what the Royal Commission is doing in actually getting to the heart of these issues.
I think I gave you an opportunity to answer the question. You didn't. You didn't.
Well,
Were you
I have
wrong
answered your
to delay it for as long as you did?
Well, look, Barry, I've answered your question.
No, you haven't.
I
You haven't
answered
said
your
whether
question.
you were wrong
I've said
or
we've
right
established
to delay it.
We have, in fact, established
You have established it, but it took a long time coming. Were you wrong?
Well, let me put it to you this way. We would not have done all those other things that we have otherwise done to address these actions.
All right, let me put it another way then, because clearly I'm not getting a direct answer on that.
First of all, I'd have to say well done to Barry Cassidy for not letting O'Dwyer get away with her deflect and distract strategy. You could visibly see O'Dwyer's discomfort as she tried to waffle on and parrot the government lines. But this is exactly why Australians have utter disdain for politicians. It's why they don't trust them, it's why they don't like them, for exactly this reason. After revelations earlier in the week that the Commonwealth Bank and AMP had been charging fees for services not rendered, including charging dead people fees, she didn't even have the decency to admit the government was wrong for stalling as long as it did in establishing the Banking Royal Commission. Her rhetoric about being alive to the problems and taking a sober, I can't count how many times she said, a sober view was ridiculous, and Australians hate that sort of rhetoric. She has the heart to say the government was right in establishing the Royal Commission, even though months earlier she and the government were dead set against it, citing it was a talk fest. Let's not forget how the Banking Royal Commission actually came into being. Labor first began calls for establishing a Banking Royal Commission in 2016, and it wasn't until late 2017 when the Nationals, the Greens and Labor had enough votes in the Parliament, and additionally a letter from the four banks calling for the Royal Commission to end uncertainty in the sector, that Malcolm Turnbull pulled the mother of all U-turns and established one. So it wasn't until the bank said you can do it that Malcolm decided, okay, I will do it. So O'Dwyer's interview so clearly exposes that the government is in bed with the banks and represents the interests of the wealthy. Quite frankly, Australians are fed up with this stale style of politics and the Liberal government's warped set of priorities. That wraps up this episode of the Reformist Report. I'll be back next week with another episode. I'll see you then.